Hey guys, what is up? Niad here with Film Comics Explained, and we are back with more Thing from Another World, picking back up with the second chapter in The Climate of Fear. When we had left, Macready awoke in a hospital gown surrounded by soldiers. He was transported to Bahia Thetis off Argentina to ensure his survival. Mac was suspicious of the Argentinians who claimed the thing was destroyed and that they were free of infection. One of the sheep in the pen then began to assimilate with the cook, which alerted the rest of the group outside. They managed to disintegrate the thing, but their victory was short-lived, as Dr. Urton maintained that there was still at least one of them who must have brought the infection with them. We returned to the environmental research station to find the group are sitting around an open fire. We are told that a long sleepless night was passing over them, but it wasn't insomnia that plagued this group. It was fear. Fear of each other, because one or more of them are not what they appear. Sabia Urton gets up yelling that this was ridiculous, as they knew the testing procedure. She tells them that she will draw blood from each of them so they can get started. One of them says that no one is touching his arm, not even her. Sabia then suggests handing out needles and scalpels to each of them to do it on their own. Another one then tells her that if it takes one cell to infect an entire organism, handing out needles with her blood or tissue on them would be an ideal way to infect them all, if she were to be infected. DeSado then tells them that they need to move quickly, asking why they haven't radioed for help yet. They all agree that this is a stupid idea, as it would only expose their rescuers to the infection. One of them says that you would have to be an idiot to suggest such a thing. He's about to say an idiot, or the thing itself, but stops and looks at him instead. Agapito then asks DeSado where he was last night, as he was nowhere to be found during the shooting. They all begin remembering that he disappeared as soon as they heard Macready's shots. The doctor tells them that he sees nothing sinister about his aversion to gunfire, insisting that it is actually quite an intelligent move. Urton tells them to stop. She is honest about not really liking DeSado, but implores them not to jump to conclusions. She suggests that they retire to their quarters, but everyone else disagrees, saying that they are happy to stay out in the open. We can see the time gradually pass. At first, they are all alert, but as it gets darker, they begin to succumb to sleep. It is now dawn, and we can see that DeSado was the only one of them that did not rest. He gets up and is about to move, but is stopped by Agapito at gunpoint, who tells him to hold it, and asks where he is scurrying off to. DeSado then cheekily says that, unlike him, he will not urinate in public. This enrages the sergeant, who tells him he is sick of his jokes. Sabia wakes up along with the others, and tells him to put the rifle down. Agapito apologizes for his actions, but we can see DeSado is unrelenting, as he tells them that she has control over the monkey, as he was in love with her. Agapito's eyes bulge out and he's about to strike the doctor, who stops him by saying, "If you really believe I'm a monster, would it be wise to strike me barehanded?" Agapito puts his hand down, and the doctor continues by saying, "I can see how these ridiculous suspicions of yours might have their advantages, but his victory is short-lived, as he is smacked by the butt of the rifle." Agapito looks down and asks if he just outsmarted the doctor, and if that was even possible. Peter walks off laughing, and we see DeSado eye out his sidearm. He then jumps towards it and pulls the pistol out as he yells at Agapito not to laugh at him. One of the soldiers then fires on him to protect his sergeant. We see the body collapse. Sabia moves to help him, but a soldier tells her not to bother, as he was dead. The shooter is in shock. He tells Peter that he saw the gun in his hand and he was yelling at him. It looked like he was about to shoot him. He asks what has he done, but Agapito ensures him he responded as he should have, and that it'll say so in his report. Peter walks off asking how he was going to explain his own conduct during these events though. He orders Cruz and Escobar to bury the doctor, but not too deeply, as they will need to ship his remains soon. One of them then points back to the station and tells them to look. We see Macready with his arms out of the bars. He tells them they might as well end themselves right now, because they were already dead. One of the soldiers tells them that Mac is beginning to make sense. Agapito then gets the group together and says that a terrible thing had happened here, and insists that he's going to make sure it doesn't happen again. We see everyone is in their rooms as we hear Agapito explain that they will all be confined to individual quarters for the next 8 hours, giving each of them time to sleep. 2 of his teams will patrol the compound and detain anyone seen leaving their room, including him. He urges them all to stay in their quarters to ensure that they don't have any more problems. We see the patrols walking past DeSado's shallow grave. We then see his hand stick out of the ground. 2 of the guards are walking around the compound. One of them says that he has considered deserting this place, and the other notices a figure in the distance, who he mistakes to be his friend Carlos. He asks why he is outside and why he is wearing a sheet. They walk up to him and the other soldier tells him that the fun is over, urging him to get back to his bunk. The figure turns around to reveal it is DeSado, who places his hands on their mouths to silence them and begins to assimilate the pair. A few hours after the curfew is lifted, we see Sabia and another soldier approach Agapito's room. They knock a few times but get no response. Sabia then puts her ear to the door and tells him that she hears something. The soldier has a listen and tells her it sounds like someone is gagged. He then kicks the door down and we see the sergeant tied up and gagged on the ground. They untie him as Pito explains he was almost sure it was MacReady again. He couldn't see in the dark, but was certain he has taken the flamethrower. The corporal then storms in, telling them that something has happened to the communication shack. They head outside to find it is up in flames. The corporal also informs them that two of the guards were missing. One of the soldiers tells them that they have searched everywhere but couldn't find MacReady on the compound, suggesting that he could be in the forest. Pito tells them that it's possible, but orders them to check the airfield first. They arrive at an abandoned airfield that most of them didn't know existed. They move closer and can hear the sound of metal banging. They all move to the door, and Agapito orders them to try and take him alive, but if he so much as sneezes, they are authorized to kill him. They turn the corner, and Pito yells for MacReady to freeze, only to find a massive creature inside with a propeller in its right hand and a plane's wing in its left. They begin to open fire on the thing, and it defensively runs out to engage them. We see the massive creature throw the propeller at one of them, which impales him. The corporal insists that they must find MacReady and the flamethrower, as it was their only chance against the thing. Pito then asks what if the creature was MacReady, as a huge flame shoots out from behind them. We can see the creature screaming as it burns, to reveal that MacReady had come back to rescue them. He tells Pito that the thing has not gotten him, at least not yet. Agapito then urges him to look at the creature. We then see a small sack begin to grow larger and larger until it finally bursts, expelling a unique variant of the thing covered in blood. It springs out of the flames and into the jungle with speed. MacReady is shocked to see this and tells them that that was new. Dr. Urton asks if MacReady is okay, and he replies by saying he had never been better. She says it's just the same he should come back, but is interrupted by him, who tells her that he still has some monster frying to do. The corporal asks Pito why he didn't take the flamethrower off MacReady, and he tells him that there is time enough for that when he returns. If he returns. We head into the forest to find Mac running after the beast. He explains that he can't see a thing, as there is little light penetrating the thick jungle growth. He continues to run but stumbles over a vine and falls into some of the thorns. He tells us that he will never catch it in this maze, and is about to head back, but is startled by what he sees ahead. Another group of soldiers have met the creature from the other side and have begun to burn it. MacReady sticks his head out of the bushes and says it can't be. He then yells out, "Childs!" to reveal it was him who was burning the thing. Mac tells him it's a good thing he showed up as the thing almost got away. MacReady then asks if he's going to introduce him to his friends, and Childs tells him no introduction was needed as he had already told them everything about him. We return to the station to find that the Argentinians have been disarmed by the new soldiers accompanying Childs. MacReady cuts his hand and jokes that his thumb is beginning to turn into one big scar from all of these tests. He tells Childs he figured the Argentinians at Campo del Sur told him he was here, but he's still confused about how he had survived the submarine wreck. The doctor then tells Childs that she appreciates the necessity of the tests, but asks whether the guns needed to be in their faces the whole time. Childs takes the container with MacReady's blood and wishes him good luck. He puts the metal container over the fire, and we see some of the blood jump out of the container in self-defense. It then falls to the ground as we get a horrific look on MacReady's face. Unfortunately, that's all that we have time for today. I really hope you guys are having fun with this one. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and to subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. Alright guys, stay awesome. I'm Niat with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.